All right, so we're joined by the owner and founder of Total Body Submersion, lifeguard, swim instructor, you name it. She's done everything in the water, Kiana Pauline. We thank you so much for joining us today. I know you're got a crazy schedule, but thanks for fitting
Yeah,
us in. This is an entrepreneurship class here at Velma Jackson High School. We're recording this for all of our friends at Madison Central, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, and our YouTube channel. So thanks so much for joining us today.
thank you so much. That's awesome. Thank you for so much what you do.
Well, I appreciate it. Before we get into your business, tell us a little bit about your background because you've always had a health and education background. You went to Jackson State, worked in various types of swimming, aquatics, things, and health education. So just talk about what led you to become an entrepreneur before you were an entrepreneur.
Um, let's say when I was a kid, I was wanting to own my own orthodontist place. And then when I went to college, I didn't want to smell people's mouths. Then I was like, well, I really wanted to own my own nonprofit. So I changed my major for chemistry to healthcare administration, transferred to Jackson State because I went to Tougaloo. And then from Jackson State, I was working at a hospital. And then I was also working part-time at 100 Black Men during the summertime. And a lot of people was telling me, hey, you're really good at this. And I was like, I don't think swimming pays the bills. And something that happened at the hospital. So I was like, well, it's about to pay the bills today. So I started the market, didn't know nothing about marketing. And I was just putting out a bunch of videos, bunch of content from my past years at being 100 Black Men. I was showing myself swimming. I'm like, why get an instructor that doesn't know how to swim? And that video did like 10,000 views back in 2018. And that's really
Wow.
how more people to come to me after that. And I had 330 swimmers that summer. I hired my little sister, my mom, and my cousin, and we were doing it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did a great job. I just didn't know what I was doing, but being a single mom, you try to figure it out. So that's really what led me to start my business.
Wow. Now, the cool thing is, we so many entrepreneurs, what they see is an issue that needs solving. And I think it is no secret, and it's not an opinion, it's a fact. Segregation in the United States was the biggest cause for the Black and brown community to not have access to aquatics. And you had an unbelievably disproportionate amount of drowning cases that were with the Black and brown community because they were never taught how to swim. It wasn't that they were too dumb or not athletic enough, but they did not have the access to aquatics, didn't have the access to education. And that's a big problem that you saw and have really made a huge push to try to change. So, talk about that stigma because, it wasn't until 2016 when Simone Manuel won the gold medal in the Olympics that we were really seeing a change in the narrative. And you hear a lot of people I know are like, let's say, I'm still scared of the water. And you have a video about that, about ways to get over your fear of the water. So talk about how you saw that issue and how you've worked to change that.
Yeah, so you're right. There is a stigma since the 1950s. We've had integration. Backyard pools, private pools started to go up. Public pools started to go down. And that's that now we have a desert of pools. And it's like you have desert of grocery stores in a lot of areas, and you have a desert of pools, which means lack of swimming access, means lack of swimming education. You have to drive further out to go learn how to swim. What I've adopted is ask private pools, kind of like an Airbnb for swim, rent out their pool space, and I market that pool as if that's my swim school for the entire summer. And we're driving 100 to 175 people during the summertime.
Wow.
We're to each location, and that's pretty much my 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 way to success. My tax accountant looks at it as like, girl, your expenses are low because of the way you do your business. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't think about that, but yeah, I mean, it's allowed me to be a stay-at-home mom because of what I do. But yeah, that's my solution to end the stereotype, end the stigma, in the segregation, in the pool, the lack of pool access. It's just create relationships in the community that already have access to pools. And then where there's not a swim education platform, we make one there.
Yeah, and especially in Mississippi because it's so dang hot. You want kids to be able to swim. You want adults to be able to swim. And then, we had Coach Nick Askew in a different class here a few weeks ago from Howard University as a swim coach. And he talked about the same thing. And he said, look, swimming is the one exercise you can learn how to do that can literally save your life. So, not only is it fun and healthy, it literally is a life-saving exercise because you're not in the business of training Olympic swimmers. You're in the business of teaching people how to swim and how to be comfortable in the water.
Exactly. But yeah,
ahead.
and even add on, that's cool. You said you interviewed the guy from Howard University.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, that's awesome. Good deal.
Yeah, I'll show you that one. Yeah, I had Coach Nick Askew, who has the same mission you do to end the segregation. Well, it's de facto segregation in swimming now, but there is a market for it. People are wanting to know how to swim. They want their kids to know how to swim, and I know you go all the way down to 18 months, all the way up to adults, in the skill levels and ages that you teach. So, talk about your different levels and the things you offer, because I think it's important for an entrepreneur to know exactly who they're trying to reach and how to reach those people.
So, who's my target audience?
Yeah.
Okay, so my target audience are the parents that are preparing for vacation. You got those parents that are drowning prevention cognizant. They're like really focused on, okay, like, I don't want my child drowning. I see the little boy in Georgia drown. Unfortunately, due to an instructor that was teaching like 10 to 12 kids by herself. And I want to make sure that there's a teacher that is really focused on my child as if that is their own child. So I'm reaching out to those. I'm reaching out to that parent that wants that tailored swim lesson for their child with autism or child with Down syndrome, because we do tailor our lessons for children with special needs. And I'm also reaching out to that parent that wants to learn to swim themselves. It's like, hey, like, you're getting these kids swim lessons. I mean, don't just be on the sideline when they're in the pool and it's like, hey, save yourself. Be able to, just in case they do choke on some water or they are struggling, they got caught up in something. You're able to, reach out and save them yourself, reach out to throw, don't go, or you're able to have fun with them when you're on vacation.
Absolutely. I mean, because like we said, it gets so dang hot. You want people to be able to enjoy the water, and I think some people don't realize. I know you do water aerobics as well. That is a fast growing trend for senior adults and for people rehabbing from injuries. The water aerobics, water exercises are becoming more and more popular, and the more comfortable people are in the water, the better they'll be able to be, and the more demand will be. The higher demand we'll have for these water aerobics.
Exactly. Yeah, we do water aerobics in the summertime. We did it at Jackson Revival Center. Thank God for that partnership. We've had them for 3 summers. And I've even had people say like they lost some weight being consistent with water aerobics. So it's definitely well needed, as well as it's a good therapy for people that have arthritis and joint pain.
Now, something you mentioned at the beginning, and so many guests of this class have said the same thing. Because you said you knew how to teach people how to swim. That was never the question. But you had a lot of learning curve on how to run a business. Because the example I always give is the owner, Dr. Angela Shannon. She owns Happy Tummy's GI Clinic in Flowood, which is, extremely successful pediatric clinic. She said, look, I went to medical school. I knew how to take care of patients. I knew how to diagnose illness and disease, but I had no idea how to run a business. So what type of learning curve did you have when it came to, look, I knew how to teach people how to swim, but I didn't know how to run a business?
Yeah, so I was 24 at the time when I first started my business. My first year, I mean, I remember my cousin was asking for a pay raise. So we had to negotiate. I gave her a pay raise though. And I was like, am I still gonna make enough money? And I still did, but it was just like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. And I didn't 1099 her that summer, but my tax accountant made it work. I know, but my tax accountant made it work. And just, we showed it in like a different way, but It was just my first year. I didn't know what I was doing. Let me see another way. Marketing. I wasn't, because of being a single mom, I don't know. I was kind of like uh I was just having a lot of doubt because my business was seasonal, and I would get paid a big lump sum in the summertime, and now I would have to go find a job in the fall or winter. And I didn't have to, but it was just something I was dealing with, and just self-doubting myself. So the marketing wasn't consistent year round like it should have been. And now being a part of Get Procured, which is under Village United, they have business therapy, and being a part of that helps me, like, okay, like, my business is seasonal. It's okay. You make money during the summer. It's good money. You're okay. And don't doubt yourself just because you make money in the summertime. And don't allow other people to put you down either, because you're not in that bubble. And then grants. I started to really be consistent with grants last year. I applied for 60 to 70 grants last year. And out of those 60 to 70, I got 5. And that really helped my business a lot. And now now I'm able to invest in my business like I want to from those grants. Wow. So, and then I'm learning a new skill, and that's applying for federal grants. I mean, not grants, but federal contracts in the government sector. Because I overlooked two federal contracts, because I didn't know how to apply for the bid. And it was managing a swimming pool in Washington, D.C., and in near Memphis. Not Memphis, but it was Nashville. I didn't know what I was doing, but I could have handled it like a middleman strategy. And that's find the people, you know what I'm saying? It's like you find the people, for the students that are watching, you find people in that area that are capable of doing the job. You get their resume, you're hiring them, and you're the one managing it, and you're living in Mississippi, and you're getting paid. And I ain't talking about no couple of pennies. I'm talking about some real dollars. And I overlooked them because I didn't know how to put the bid together. And now I do, because I paid for a course from someone that makes millions of dollars doing that. It's a lot of things. I mean, even with taxes, like hiring a better tax accountant that really like focuses on small businesses and not just, oh yeah, I'll help you with your taxes. Yeah. And it's like, no, like, hey, let me help you with your taxes. Let me help you with your numbers. I had my one tax accountant that helped me get in my house, and it was solely off the income of my business, of how I got in my house that I bought today. So, well, not today, but 2 years ago. And it's just getting my stuff in order, being organized, and just being self-aware and being present with my business where I am today. So I've learned a lot.
Oh, absolutely. Now, a couple of things I want to talk about before I get to the questions is one, one thing I always like to talk about, because we've had students come through this class and other classes that have started their own small business, whether it be just a side hustle or whatever. And they're 17, 18 years old. And the first thing, they start marketing and they have a good idea. And the first thing I tell them is, look, you're not charging enough, because they're in the high school mindset. They're trying to be the cheapest instead of trying to be the best. So how did you come up with your pricing strategy? Because I know, like you said, you make good money doing it, but you find ways to make it affordable. And you also, it's like I say all the time, if you are offering more, people will pay more.
Exactly. The pricing structure, I compare it to my competitors in the area. So that's like my private swim instructors, Mayleys, the YMCA, and I try to average it the best I can. I know my first year I sucked. I was extremely too cheap, and I overworked myself because of it. And I've raised my prices every year. And like right now I'm doing a promotion. I'm like, hey, the lessons are going to be $165 for 8 group lessons. Just giving an example. Come April 1st though, if they missed it, everything's going up like $25 to $30. And it's like, well, that was, just getting the the preseason price. Now we're in the season, and now you're gonna have to pay the season price. So, and I'm okay with offering that price. And sometimes you'll have to say, okay, well, what if people say no? I'm like, okay, the cheap people gonna say no. When you are offering quality, you don't want to deal with cheap people. You want to deal with people you can tolerate, you can deal with. I would just say with your price, make sure that you have your policies, procedures, your refund policy, all in place to make sure that you're crossing your T's, you're dotting your I's, so you're not dealing with a whole lot of headaches behind the scenes. Because it's not what you love doing that gives you a headache. It's those behind the scenes stuff that's like, whew, like someone trying me today, but yeah.
Now, one thing you recently had a platform on, which I thought was great, you know, and people may laugh, but I think you were onto something that's very important because I used to run a summer camp for 5 to 12-year-olds in Clarksville, Tennessee, and we had a lot of swimming in the summer. And I would have these parents of these little black girls say, "Look, I know she's comfortable in the water. I know you're going to keep an eye on her, but can you just please make sure she has her swim cap on? Can you please make sure she's putting this in her hair when she gets out?" And, you know, people can kind of snicker about it, but, you know, black women spend a lot of time on their hair, especially natural hair. So you've really created a series now on how to care for hair for black women when they get out of the water, because let's face it, especially, you know, when they're using products from people like our friend Amika or from Jessica, they're investing a lot of money into their hair. The last thing they want to do is ruin it by getting in a pool. So you've come up with a series of education for natural hair care for black women.
Exactly. We have a podcast now. We're inviting guests and we're showing how things relate to swim. Hair care relates to swim. Hair care products relate to swim. Swim insurance. That's going to be the podcast next week. Is relates to swim and liability. And what we want to do with swim and with the hair care community period is to show people there's no excuse. You have people out here that specialize in natural hair care. And if you're trying to do it at home, invest in quality products like Strands of Faith, Amika Coleman, or the main attraction with the other young lady that's from Mississippi. And really, you know, take care of your hair, keep a swim cap on, putting water in it, so that way you're not pulling hair every time you take your swim cap on and off every time. But yeah, I want to show people that we're really invested in this aquatic space, especially for colored people of color. So that way they're like, hey, like there's someone out there that really cares about my whole well-being, my whole self. I want to pick her because she's really invested in what she does.
Absolutely. And again, and, you know, and we talk about, you know, people will pay more if they know they're getting more. You know, that gives you the ability to charge a little bit more. You know, I always say if people will buy it, you need to sell it. And if people will pay it, you need to charge it. So again, that you have a large market of, you know, this is a heavy swim type of climate and people are going to want to learn. And if they know they can get that on top of learning how to swim, I think a lot of people be willing to pay good money to have that.
Exactly. Yeah. So do not downplay yourself. Like do promotions to get started. And then after your promotion stops, like don't do what I did to be like, I guess I keep it going. No, cut it off and, you know, charge your price. I guarantee you somebody gonna pay, and then get those reviews as people pay. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I do have some questions from the students, and I love this first one. This is Braylon Carter. He's in 9th grade, member of our band here. And he asked, "How do you find the perfect location to conduct business?"
Okay, so Byram is a great example. They don't have a pool, and the gym that they did have, for some reason, it closed down. The church that has it now, they're not going to offer swim lessons. They want to close it and put a church there. There's nothing wrong with that. So I find areas where they don't offer swim lessons. We do have Madison, which has a lot of pools. So with that location, it was just like, well, I do have a target audience in North Jackson. They're coming. They don't mind going to Madison. I'm still working on the location, North Jackson. I just gotta. It's in the works. So I'll say that. And then once all contracts are signed, then I can put out that one. Then we have City of Crystal Springs. They need help with their with managing their pool. And the goal was to be able to help manage the pool as well as offer swim lessons. And that's the goal of Total Body Submersion. We want to manage and take over pools, honestly, and just put our instructors there, pay them well. We partner with our nonprofit organization and get donors to donate, so that way we can offset some of that cost to actually help pay for that pool to continue to run and to continue to get what it needs to be maintained. So as far as answering the question for location is concerned, just wherever it's needed for swim education, where there's a lack of.
Awesome. I love this question. This is Colton Johnson. He's also in ninth grade, also a member of our band. And he asked, what inspired you to get into swimming?
What inspired me was I've been swimming since I was 5 years old. I almost drowned twice. I almost had an accident at Disney World. It was like this ride where you hold your hands on it, you plunge down, and then I did a flip. And then thankfully I had on a life jacket, and I just kicked my way back. And then I almost drowned at Rapids. Y'all don't know about that because y'all too young.
That's before their time.
Right. But I crossed the red line, and that was at the wave pool. And I just held my breath. I didn't know how to hold my breath. I was just doing it. And the lifeguard was like, "You okay?" She went and grabbed me. She was like, "You okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm ready to get back in there though. Leave me alone." So that was at Rapids. And then another time I knew how to swim, but I didn't know how to tread. And we were playing hide and seek in the 5 feet area. And I was like, "Yo, I can't step on the my feet not touching the ground no more." I'm like, "Help me." And I'm crawling on my friend at 9 years old, about to drown her, and the lifeguard grabbed me. He was just like, "Dude, you on the swim team. Like, what's wrong with you?" And I was just like, I know I tread, but I learned from my friends in the summertime how to tread, and now I can tread for hours if I wanted to. But
Wow.
what inspired me is because being able to be at the pool all the time with my parents, my family, and just seeing that other people don't go to the pool like that. Like, they go get swim lessons one time, and then they're like, "I forgot how to swim," and I'm like, "Man, we stayed at the pool. Like, what's wrong with you?" So that's what inspired me. Swimming, swim team, and just seeing the other communities that they don't really have access like that. Yeah.
Absolutely. This is Christian Wolf. He's a senior. And he asked, what is the struggle of training people that are scared of the water to learn how to swim?
That's a really good question. So the struggle, you got toddlers, and you got that are really scared, and you got that one child that just has this fear, and you have children with autism, you got adults. So, and it's kind of just different self-confidence issues, and it's tackling each person's mind differently, and not tackling the person, but tackling their mind differently. So sometimes I'm a life coach in a way, and we're having to go through this fear together. And I remember my first year, like, these kids that were just so scared. I'm like, "Why don't you just put your head in?" And then it's just like, it's something with a bad dream. It's something with they saw someone drown, they watched Jaws or something. And it's just like, I don't know why they feel like water phobia when their face hits the water. And I really just have to treat them like my children and show them how much I love them, how much I care. And look, we're going through this together. I'm gonna feel this pain with you because I want you to get in here. I'm being patient, but I'm like, I'd rather go at the pace that you're ready to go at, because I don't want you to be traumatized if I push you too hard. So it's really patience. It's the struggle is patience. You want to like get in there, and it's like, you got to be like, "Oh, you know what? It's okay. Just take your time. We're gonna get there." And then sometimes you do got to push them, but you gotta know when to do it. You gotta be very discerning. So, and not push them too fast, because otherwise you'll lose them, and they're like, Mom, I don't want to go back to her.
All
So I
right,
was patient.
that's awesome, and you know, and I don't think people realize, you know, that really is a huge struggle. You know, it's well, that's one of the, you know, a huge fear kids have. So that's got to be the toughest part. But this is a great. That's the last one. This is a great question here. This is Donovan Harris. He's a senior, member of our champion archery team here at Velma Jackson, and he asked, "What type of fulfillment do you get when you teach someone how to swim and they didn't think they could?"
My fulfillment is always gratifying, and just it's a great feeling when you can get that person swimming, especially when they're like, I see myself doing. I remember there was an adult I taught, and I just saw her at the Natural Hair Expo, and she was shaking. She was so scared, and I was like, can I dunk you?" And she was like, I said, "I'm gonna go at your pace." I said, "I'm gonna want you to hold your nose, and when you hold your nose, I want you to sit in my lap like a baby, and then I'm gonna go when you say go." And we just sat there for a minute. She was like, she was like, "Just like hold it like this." I'm like, "Yep." And she was like, and I'm like, "I want you to like that." And she was like, "Are you sure I'm gonna be okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got you. I'm gonna hold you." And she was like, "Okay." So she was short. She was like 4'9". So I'm like, I held her. We went down. She was like, I was like, she was like, "I'm ready to go again." So she did again. And I was like, "Can you let go of your nose this time?" She was like, "Yeah." So she was, so we went again. And then I was like, "Can you do it by yourself?" "Yeah." So she went on her. And then at the end of her first lesson, she pushed off and she kicked and she streamlined in the water. And she was just like, "I did all that in 30 minutes." I'm like, 30 minutes is a long time if you focus. She was like, "You're the best swim instructor ever." And I was like, "Thanks." And I was like, my first year teaching, I was 24 at the time. But
Wow.
and that's moments like that are very, like, they touch me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm doing a good job. And I want to continue to see like that.
That's incredible. Now we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for joining us. But before we go, a couple things. First of all, tell us where to find Total Submersion
Mhm.
online.
Yeah.
Total Body
Uh,
Submersion. I'm sorry.
.org, at Total Body Submersion, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and at Kiana Pauline on LinkedIn. Yes. And then Kiana Pauline on LinkedIn. And Drown Proof is our podcast. And you can find that on YouTube as well.
Yeah, and you know, and you're taking registrations now for lessons coming up quick. So if anybody wants to learn to swim, to bring the whole family, you're doing all ages and all skill levels.
Yes, and you can find the registration link on at www.totalbodysubmersion.org.
All right, now real quick before we go, you know, with this starting Women's History Month, and we just finished Black History Month, it's just so important for these young people to understand. First of all, you know, learning to swim is extremely important. So why should they not be afraid to learn this skill that is so important in every community?
Why should they not be afraid?
Yep.
I mean, one, it's so fun. I mean, you get to dive off the diving board, you can slide off the slide, you can tread, you can go ski, water skiing, you can go jet skiing, you can jump off a perfectly good cliff going out of the country. It is so, and then most of your vacations involve water. So why not learn to swim and be comfortable and be with your friends? I mean, if you're a scaredy cat, just say so. You know that thing. Everybody like, just say so. Like, but if you really like, man, I can't be on the edge. Like, I'm an athlete. I'm this. Like, I gotta know how to swim. Do it. It's for you, and then it's great for your joints. And then as you get older, it's that exercise regimen that you need.
Absolutely, and it's easy on your joints and all that. So I couldn't agree more. Well, Kiana Pauline, Total Body Submersion, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
All
Bye.
right, talk to you soon.